boy, where you been? It's TeeJay, the artist. You rockin' with me. You are the smartest, and we back with another video, man. Listen, which NBA team has the most pressure to win it all? This is the Rebound Rewind. Shout out to Rebound. I can't even talk. Shout out to the Rebound Rewind. That's a lot. I'm country. I be slurring my words. It is what it is. Bear with your boy. We're about to see who they say has the most pressure to win it next year. Let's get into the video. Could you turn me up in the headphones a little bit? Who got the pressure?
Which NBA team has the most pressure to win it all?
Well, we know it ain't the damn Hornets or Atlanta. Let's talk about that.
Wants to be the champion of the 2025 season.
It gotta be Boston. Who y'all think? It gotta be Boston because they gotta go back to back.
And even the rebuilding one.
Yeah, we know it ain't him.
But realistically, only a few teams have a legitimate shot and a limited.
So just wipe out all the bottom teams. Let's not even talk about them.
Window closing in on them to win it all specifically for 2025. In this video, we will discuss who that team is. And the best way to find out who it is to remove all the teams in which who it is not. Let's start by doing that. The teams with zero pressure to win it all are the Pistons, Wizards, Trailblazers, Spurs, Hornets, and maybe the Bulls and Nets.
Maybe? They don't got no pressure whatsoever. Detroit, they're literally the worst team last year. Wizards, they lost to the worst team last year. Portland, a bunch of young players. Spurs, nobody's thinking that Victor Wembanyama is going to win the championship. They know they're a young team as well. Yeah, they bringing Chris Paul over, but they ain't nobody looking for them to win no championship right now. Hornets, let's be for real. Chicago, they want to trade their best player. The Nets, they got rid of everybody that was there that's supposed to have won. All of them, zero pressure.
Teams have absolutely zero pressure to win the NBA Finals for the 2025 season, mainly because they are clearly trying to rebuild and build their young cores for the future.
Young.
Now, of course,
like
there is pressure for these teams to say at least try to make the playoffs, specifically the Spurs and Hornets.
That's the difference. That's the difference. It's not about making playoffs. This video is about winning the championship.
But no one has a 2025 Pistons Finals on their bingo card, right? The Bulls and Nets are a bit of a wild card here. I think they have no pressure because they first need to figure out how bad or how surprisingly good they are going to be. And
facts.
Maybe we can adjust their pressure meter.
We know the Nets not. Stop showing Ben Simmons. I'm sorry, Ben Simmons. But sorry, bro. They gotta let you go.
Mid-season. But either way, if they are surprisingly good or if they are really bad, the pressure is essentially going to be really low regardless.
Yeah.
Take, for example, the Orlando Magic of last season. They were surprisingly really good, but they had no pressure to perform because they outdid their current pressures.
Facts.
And if the Bulls and Nets are bad, well, they can join the Pistons. No pressure, but paper bag heads. Next up are teams with just a tad of pressure to win it all. These teams are the Rockets, Raptors, Hawks, and Jazz.
A tad bit of, I said a tad bit of pressure. tad bit of pressure. I think Atlanta can go with the other squad because with the zero pressure because they be talking Trae Young be in trade rumors every offseason. Utah, it feels like they're missing so much. So Atlanta and Utah can go to zero, but Rockets and Raptors, it's only a little bit of pressure because they are young and good right now. They have a good coach and stuff like that. So they got the pieces for it. They not rebuilding no more. They not looking for nothing. So yeah, they got a little bit to win it all.
These teams don't have realistic title odds per se, but they are certainly in a competing spot for the playoffs, and with how the play-in tournament is set up, never say never for postseason outcomes, especially for final seed selections. The Rockets have the most potential to surprise the league this season, but again, just a tad of pressure is not much in the grand scheme of how much pressure it is for these franchises to be 2025 champs, but they certainly have a lot of pressure to be 2025 playoff powerhouses, or at least playoff performers. summers. And with that indirectly comes this tad of pressure to win it all. And if you're wondering why I included the Raptors in the Jazz, well, the Jazz actually did end up locking down Lauri Markkanen, and he is an all-star caliber player, and Scottie Barnes has an opportunity to be the next franchise player for the Raptors. Moving on, we have the rebound pressure teams.
All right, here we go.
These are teams who had a disappointing season in the last season or so, despite having a lot of hype or talent on paper, and they still have said talent on paper. These teams include the Grizzlies, Clippers, Lakers, and Warriors.
If you have a team with LeBron James on it, always gonna be pressure to win it all. You have a team with Steph Curry on it, always gonna be pressure. If you have a team with Kawhi Leonard, always gonna be pressure. The only pressure that the Grizzlies have is the fact that Ja was hurt, and he said that they was good in the West. They had a lot of young talent, and he was supposed to be that pinnacle guy to catapult that team up. So yeah, it's a rebound pressure because last season did not go as planned, and here's your chance to rebound up. Now, I don't think the Grizzlies have a lot of like the same level as pressure to win it all as those three, but they got some. So I will move the Grizzlies to the one before this. Yeah.
The Clippers keep having injury issues, especially in the postseason. And
the Clippers are always going to have injury issues. Well, no, because Paul George left. We'll see.
Losing Paul George makes it even harder for managing Kawhi Leonard's load management. Speaking of which, the Clippers will play 19 back-to-back games this season.
Well, you know he ain't playing that.
Thus, 39% of their games in the regular season will be played either back-to-back or only have a 24-hour rest period in between.
Sheesh, they set them up.
Leonard and his load management team might still be a problem with this type of schedule. How many of these back-to-back games will he even play? So logistically, it's a mess, but on paper, you still got Kawhi on your roster, therefore there's still pressure to win it all.
Facts, that's exactly what I said.
Grizzlies really had a lopsided past 2 or so seasons. Everything kinda hit the wall after Ja Morant had a pew-pew incident and Shannon Sharp wanting to pour honey on LeBron's body after
That was very, very much so Paul's worthy.
All the Dylan Brooks shenanigans. Remember, the Grizzlies were once a top 2 team in the West.
They was. I told y'all, they good in the West.
They certainly have a ton of pressure to start acting like that again at the very least, and of course to rebound and win it all. As for the Lakers and Warriors, I don't care how old or how successful they are or how great they were in the past, any team with LeBron James or Steph Curry on the roster will always have pressure to win it all.
That's exactly what I just said.
Regardless of the context. And this is a compliment to their great.
If I was on the Lakers, they'll still be like, listen, you gotta win the championship.
Not a consequence of it. Now we have the teams with a great shot to win.
Wide window pressure
is also so wide. 2025 specifically is not do or die. These teams are the
Orlando Magic,
Pacers, Pelicans, Nuggets, Timberwolves, Thunder, Knicks, Celtics, and Magic.
All right, Pacers, move them down a peg. They don't have no defense. New Orleans, he gotta stay healthy. Nuggets, yes. Actually, they might need to go up a notch. I don't know what the next notch is, but Denver, they might need to go up a notch. Timberwolves, same thing. Thunder, they can stay right here. New York can stay right here. Boston, move them a notch up. Magic, we can stay right here.
These teams are good. 2 of these teams are recent champs, such as the Celtics and Nuggets, and these teams have wide windows. We're talking at the very least 3 seasons to maybe even up to 7 seasons.
Oh, I get it. Okay, I get it. They're saying that their window to win a championship is bigger than other people's. Okay, I get it.
Teams. Of course,
all of them can stay,
with so
except for the Pacers. I still think the Pacers need to move down a notch.
So much talent and so much opportunity to win it all
until they find some defense.
In 2025, naturally, will grant pressure to win it this season. That doesn't necessarily mean the war.
And Pelicans too. Pelicans got to stay healthy. Zion got to stay healthy. I saw Zion. I saw a picture of him. He lost weight. Hopefully, it stays off, and we see a full season of Zion and the playoffs for Zion.
Will stop spinning if one of these teams are NBA champions by next summer. And don't get me wrong, These teams should still put in 110% effort to win it all, but none of these teams need to drag all their poker chips into one spot and make do or die risky moves, because their rosters are built to grow and expand for the future at this current state. Next up, we have good teams with a good shot to win it all, but their windows are much more limited or much more strained. Such high-profile names specifically for the short term rather than the long term. These teams are the Kings, Suns, Mavericks, Heat, and Cavaliers.
Okay, so it is crunch time pressure. A lot of these people, they could be gone soon. KD, I mean, he gonna have to retire eventually, so that window's small. Jimmy Butler, same thing. Miami Heat, they don't be making no moves over there. The Cavs locked in Donovan Mitchell, but with the rest, I think they locked him in. But what the rest of that roster gonna look like? Dallas, y'all. A lot of people did not think that y'all was gonna was gonna win and get to the finals last year. So y'all better get there again and you better win it. Sacktown, y'all might need to. They probably need to move down about 2 notches, to be honest. Sacktown really fell off.
Starting with the Kings, the addition of DeMar DeRozan truly shows that the Kings want to be more than just the Kings in 2025. They are also going for the Queen's Gambit as well. I was considering putting them in the previous tier, but it's clear that they're done seeing how the duo of Fox and Sabonis grows naturally and instantly want to make that duo a trio with the addition of
they
DeRozan.
added DeMar DeRozan.
Prior to that move, maybe Keegan Murray was going to naturally be that number 3 guy, but now it looks like they have a quasi-super team, if not a full-on powerhouse worth of a team. They really want to win it all.
I didn't even think about DeMar DeRozan. My fault. Now, yeah, they need to be where they at.
Sooner rather than later. The Suns and Heat have the most pressure in a physical sense, considering Kevin Durant and Jimmy Butler are not getting any younger.
Facts.
Each season passes, they will be 1 season further from their peak
I'm Kevin
prime.
Durant.
While you
know
can
who I
still
am.
argue they are both really good and maybe still in the back end of their primes, the absolute snowy top of that mountain of their prime is a thing of the past, unfortunately, and thus the pressure to win it all is there. Jimmy Butler hasn't even won the finals before, despite being there so many times.
He's been there about
yes,
he's been there
twice.
twice.
Per se, but no one respects his Warriors rings. We're still waiting for him to win a ring on another franchise. As for the Mavericks and Cavaliers, they have a really unique sense of pressure to make the best player on their roster happy to stay in the city he's in. Yes, Donovan Mitchell signed a 3-year extension, but 3 years is not a 5-year deal, so he certainly gave himself room to tell Cleveland, hey, they need to put in some work if they want to keep him for the really long term instead of just being a middle.
We should have won this freaking game, but that's making me mad.
Coming off of a finals
just
loss,
watching that, we should have beat them. Orlando should have beat them.
Actually win it. Add in the fact that Luka has a player option in 2026-27, which may seem far out, but time moves faster than you realize, which if he doesn't want to go for it, he can tell Dallas that he's on his way out. Never say never in this player-first era of the NBA. The Mavs...
If Luka leave the Mavericks, bro, that will be insane.
Really need to get the most out of these next 3 years. Add in the fact that Kyrie Irving is only getting older. Much like KD and Jimmy Butler, Kyrie's peak prime is most likely a thing of the past, which means the Mavericks also have a ton of pressure to find a new sidekick if they don't win it all this year. And last but certainly not least, the 2 teams with the most pressure to become 2025 NBA champions. The Bucks in second place and the 76ers in first place. I put the Bucks in second place only because Giannis is a 2021 champ, but the addition of Dame...
Because he just won. But with Dame coming there, it puts that pressure back up.
Lillard, in a narrative perspective, sort of counteracts that storyline, since there is certainly a lot of pressure for him to be a champion in his prime and contribute to a ring before he becomes a bench-riding ring chaser or a player that never wins one at all. This man is an NBA all-time 75.
So Dame basically put the Bucks all the way up there.
Player, we can't just see him patting...
And Philly been trusting the process for years.
...himself on the back. He needs to be patting himself with a ring on his finger too. Plus, the Bucks outside of injury have no excuse not to be in the finals this season. Obviously last year their best players got hurt, but if they're healthy this year, they have no excuse. Now the same can be said for the 76ers, but on a much more strict level, considering that neither Paul George or their best player, former MVP Joel Embiid, are NBA champs. At least Giannis has a ring. These 2 guys don't even have one. Joel just got himself yet another big name on his roster with Paul George, and while PG is 34 years old and in a way way, you can argue probably out of his prime, but I still say he's got 1 or 2 more years of being really good before you truly see a considerable decline.
I believe that.
Because Paul George actually kind of transformed how he plays. It was super incredible to see him rebound from his crazy injury many years ago, but that doesn't mean the pressure is gone. In fact, I would say the pressure is even higher now that he's playing alongside
he with
an
Philly,
MVP
yeah.
in his prime, being Joel Embiid. At the start of every Philly season, we hear the phrase, trust the process. And by the end of each season, we hear the phrase, bust the process. This time, the Philly fans need to hear the phrase, thank the process, and crown the town a banner. But if that doesn't happen this season, the city of brotherly love might be a city of brotherly hate. Heck, Embiid has never made it past the second round.
Damn.
He's the only MVP in NBA history to not do that. He absolutely, at the very least, needs to get out of that insane category.
Facts.
So here were the NBA teams with the least amount of pressure and the most pressure to be 20.
Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. That's the most pressure to win it all. Do you disagree? Do you agree? Which team do you agree with? Which team do you think has the most pressure to win it all? Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, man. Peace.